Very good. Well, I just want to welcome Steve B to Ehrlund, and yeah, well, I'm so glad that you're here.
Well, thank you. This is the best part of the day because I get to sit down.
You've been walking a lot.
Yeah. I always make the worst choice in footwear when I come to these things. Vans, probably not the best way to go.
But you're a multiple Grammy winner.
I've won a Grammy and been nominated a few times and been very lucky with my career. So yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, you know, I started at a studio called Larrabee Studios in West Hollywood, and I worked for a long time at Larrabee. And through Larrabee, I started getting gigs, and one of the main gigs I got was working with Dr. Dre. And I was Dr. Dre's engineer, one of his engineers, for about 10 years. And through that, mixed Eminem, I did 50 Cent, I did you know, a lot of great artists. You know.
That's big names.
Yeah, I mean, even before that, I met Dre actually when he was still at Death Row, and I was working with Death Row Records at the time. So you know, I got to work on Snoop Dogg and Tupac, and I did most of the Nate Dogg stuff with him back then. And
so you've been doing this for a long time.
I'm old like dirt. Thank you for reminding me.
No, you don't look old at all.
No, yeah, it's been a while. It's been quite a career so far, and fortunately, knock on wood, it keeps on going. I have a studio up in Sherman Oaks, which is like a suburb of LA in the Valley, and we do mainly mixing and mastering at this particular studio. And then I have a separate studio where it's a production studio with my partner Ehrlund, and we produce music out of that place in Culver City.
Yeah, I read a little about it on the
and
website.
this is where your mics are housed, and we're having fun experimenting with them, you know, because they're new and fun mics. You know, we enjoy the different colors that they bring, the mic brings. This is not a conventional, I'd say, color, but I think at the same time it's a useful color, you know, on that we found.
Okay.
You know, and it's one of those things where sometimes mics are colored in a way that's unuseful, you know, and I can't really. But this one we've already found a couple cool, fun new ways to use it.
Which one are you using?
It's the mono. This one, center. I forget the
M?
Yeah, I got to look at the number, the M, right? Yeah, the M. Yes. And I'm really looking forward to the new tube one, mainly because of that narrowing pattern function it has on it. And I'm already imagining in my head putting it in my drum room, and now instead of getting the full room, I can kind of narrow down the room to where I want it just on the drums, and get it so the drums are really punchy.
So you're excited.
So I'm excited. I'm already excited, and I haven't been able to get it yet. So yeah, I'm chomping at the bit.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, exactly. They said they had to name it, so I suggested Steve.
Oh, good name.
Yeah, exactly. It's worked for me my whole life, so that mic could be called Steve.
And they said yes?
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's in the. They're working on it.
Well, I will try to.
Yeah, keep it up there.
Promote
that as a name this year. Put it in.
So you're using the mics more and more now?
More and more, yeah. We're integrating them into our system that we have at the studio, and we're trying to figure out the different places that we like it the most. We've tried it on vocals. We like it on vocals, but it was a couple times we thought it gives a special sound to the vocals. So it was nice to switch out when we wanted a song to sound a certain way. Oh, we could use this mic, and it brought a different character out of the vocalist that we were working with. So yeah, it's very useful.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I read that you even worked with Michael Jackson as well.
I had worked with Michael Jackson. Yes. Look at this guy, walking right in front. That's this guy too. Right there.
Okay, thank you.
Right there. This guy. Just come on through anytime, anybody.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
We're live. We're doing it live.
Exactly. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's my best with Bill O'Reilly. Yeah, I worked with Michael Jackson on a couple projects. I started that's when I was telling you I was working at Larrabee Studios.
Yes.
So I started on there, and he was one of their big clients at the time. and I worked on history, a little bit of history, and then it was an album called Blood on the Dance Floor, where I did a lot of assistant engineering work, but I also did engineering, like where I was able to record vocals with them and do stuff like that. And then there was a third project I worked on with Michael. It was the beginning of him and Rodney Jerkins, and we were just in the writing stages. So it was fun because it was just me recording Rodney playing piano and Michael on, it was on a TLM 140 mic, and it was pretty cool because I never realized how powerful his voice was. He's got a super powerful voice, and you just can't put any mic on him because he would the amount of level coming out of his mouth would distort the actual mic.
That's kind of cool because he has just a
everybody thinks of Michael as a very delicate person, and when the reality was he had a super powerful voice, and you can only some mics you try to put like a U67 say or something like that on it, it couldn't handle his voice because he would do these very percussive things, and those things would blow up the mic. So you'd have to put a really very specific mic on him.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
But it's a nice experience to work with all those.
It was fortunate. Yeah, I've been in many places at the right time, and that's one of those places I was at. Larrabee Studios provided a lot of opportunity for me. So I'm always thankful to them for that.
Yeah. But you're doing such a great job, so that's.
Well, I always hear people always ask me, "Oh, what's the secret to success?" I'm like, well, be at the right place at the right time, and then be able to back it up. Because when they do throw you in the hot seat and you can't perform, well, then you're kicked out. That's how I got my job with almost everybody. When I first worked with Cypress Hill, one of their engineers that they were working with at the time, this guy at Cypress Hill, I want to surprise anybody, but they like to smoke weed, and so there was a lot of weed being smoked, and their previous engineer at the time had a little bit of trouble like focusing on the board after he had smoked. So I showed up as the assistant engineer one day, and the engineer was gone. I said, "Oh, what happened to the guy?" He's like, "Well, he's not going to come in today, but they're like, smoke this joint with us." So I smoked a joint with the guys. They're like, "Hey, can you work?" I'm like, "Sure, it's work." So we worked, and at the end of the day, they're like, "Oh, well, you can smoke weed and you can work the board. You've got the job." So I'm not advocating drugs, but I'm just saying that it did come in handy, and it was maybe helpful that I did go to a party school up in Northern California.
So you've been living in California your whole life, or?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Northern California, up in Sacramento, and then I went to this school called California University at Chico, and they had a recording arts program inside of their music program. And it was one of the first schools I knew of that actually had an actual real studio, and back then they had 2-inch tape and the whole thing, and so I cut my teeth and learned a lot at that school, and I got my music degree there.
Okay, so you've been interested in this since.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was interested in when I left high school. And then I realized, and it was funny. It hit me later on because I was that kid. Like I would record my best friends in my room all the time, and I had a little 4-track recorder, little Fostex, and I would clear out my closet, which is kind of like a walk-in closet in my room, and I put the microphone in there, and my friends would go in there and record. And I realized like my whole life I'd been setting up studios. And I just didn't really click until like I realized there was a program at Chico State that catered to that. I was like, oh, I could do that for a living? Oh, that's a cool idea. So that's when I switched over from a business major to music major, which didn't make my parents very happy.
No?
No, my dad was a music teacher, so he was like, the last thing he wanted me to do is go into music.
Okay, I understand.
He's like, go be a business major, make money.
But are you a musician as well, or?
Yeah, I was a brass player, so I played trumpet mainly, and then I picked up French horn and a couple other things. I played in orchestrals and jazz bands and things like that growing up. So I still love playing. I just don't have the time like I used to.
I can imagine that.
And there's so many other better people than me, so I can just hire them and record them, and they do a much better job than I would.
So what are your plans for the future?
For the future?
Yeah.
Well, right now I'm working with my partner, Ehrlund. We're producing quite a few records. We're actually developing a TV show, which I can't really talk too much about, but we're really excited about that. And then the other thing we're doing, I have my company, Next Level Mastering, with my partner Mauricio Irigori, and the two of us mix and master out of that room. So
sounds wonderful.
yeah.
So I just want to thank you for coming and
It's a pleasure talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah. I feel like I ramble. I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You're not at all. And we're glad that you like the Ehrlund microphone.
We're excited. As I said, I can't wait to get my hands on this new one. It's
Steve.
the Steve mic. Exactly.
It's a Steve mic.
You've got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Steve, can we find you anywhere online, Instagram, or
Oh yeah, it's my
I have you on
ad.
Instagram.
Yeah, it's Intimixin. IN number 2 MIXIN on Instagram. So.